a ghoulish icon lurking in the darkest recesses of the human psyche, while simultaneously sparking the imagination of an enthusiastic community. This is Oddstrosity. Let's reset what's expected. This is actually one of my favorite online oddities just because of how visually unnerving it is. Just imagine, you're browsing YouTube back in July 2009 when suddenly you come across this face for the first time. Who or what is this thing? In the original video presented by Thomas Rangsdorff, he unveils an eerie animatronic figure he calls My Ghoul Jackson, a tribute of sorts to Michael Jackson. This fictitious monster stemmed from a book that Rangsdorff was working on. He's written several horror books over the years, though this particular one has never seen publication. It seems at the time he wanted an eye-catching way to advertise his new story, so the original My Ghoul Jackson video was filmed in 2009 and soon after published to YouTube. Nearly 2 years later, Rangsdorff followed up with the nightmare fuel My Ghost Jackson, a photo of Michael Jackson digitally morphing into several distorted faces. These videos didn't gain much traction at first, but a decade later, the character's popularity took off. In true better late than never fashion, 2019 saw an increase in attention and boost in popularity for the character. He started popping up in more and more memes, videos, and creepypastas. My Ghoul Jackson transcended into an urban legend, evolving into a creature known as the Ayuwoki, a name derived from the late pop idol's lyric, "Are you okay?" from his hit Smooth Criminal. Several indie horror games and mods featured the ghoul and scared gamers around the world. Let's plays of games like Escape the Ayuwoki have millions of views from many different creators. This game changes the appearance of the creature a lot, but that's not the most unusual form the Ayuwoki has displayed in the past. An unrelated video became tied to the character, one showing a Russian woman dancing by a staircase, her arms tucked away, appearing as just a head with legs. A less defined edit was published as well, and this version became synonymous with the Ayuwoki character, perhaps because their hair and face somewhat resemble one another. I found a comment asking Rangsdorff if he created this video, which he unexpectedly confirms, though perhaps he misunderstood the question or something. I would just find it surprising since he's uploaded so much content to his YouTube channel surrounding his character, yet somehow not this video. Unless he meant this one from his TikTok account, I guess. Rangsdorff's cousin also confirms neither of them had anything to do with the Russian woman video, though. More about this cousin later. Throughout these different works, the lore of the Ayuwoki varies, but many follow the idea that if you stay up till 3 a.m., he will appear and exclaim Hee Hee, a vocal expression common in Jackson's songs. Another legend claims that you can summon him by staring at a mirror in the dark and utter either his name or the phrase Hee Hee 3 times. These myths created quite a stir in some places, to the point where police were involved. A state in Mexico had to issue a statement reassuring people that there was no monster trying to haunt you in the dark. It seems like his face was inescapable. The Ayuwoki's face has emblazoned a wide variety of merch. Not gonna lie, I honestly debated getting this fanny pack. Merchandise in his likeness seemed to be inevitable, given he's become an internet boogeyman with an immediately recognizable face, much like horror icons Jeff the Killer or Momo. But what are the origins of the petrifying parody mask used in the original video? Well, we know that the My Ghoul Jackson mannequin was built by Thomas Rangsdorff's cousin, Thomas Messerschmitt. The skeleton of the figure is an armature mostly made of piping, and topped with a customized animatronic Elvis bust made by the company Wowie. Messerschmitt was fond of this substructure and used it several times in his other projects, as seen in some of his YouTube videos. This particular figure was adorned by a store-bought Michael Jackson costume. Determining the origin of the mask, though, isn't easy. At first, I assumed the mask was handmade by either of the two cousins, but evidently that isn't the case, as told in one behind-the-scenes video. Messerschmitt elaborates a bit, saying, "I've been searching high and low for that original mask. They're not making it anymore. And I don't have any of the original masks. They were all sold. There were 100 made, 100 sold, and that was the end of it. We didn't keep any." These statements seem to indicate this was a pre-existing product already available on the market at the time. To get a clear answer, I reached out to each cousin asking specifically if these 100 masks were custom made for their project by their own specifications or not. Messerschmitt shed some light on this mystery, replying, "It was a pre-existing mask. It is not made anymore. And I bought it from a Los Angeles Halloween store. It was called a Wacko Jacko mask. I don't know who made it. There are a number of companies now selling Wacko Jacko masks, but they are not the same. I'm excited to learn this much at least, and hopefully one day we'll have the missing gaps filled in. I'd really like to know which company made the classic mask, and I'd love to have a new look at one of those masks too, unless all the rubber has rotted away. I thought it'd be worth noting that this creative duo meant no ill will towards Michael Jackson. Messerschmitt explains in one video that he and his cousin are both fans of Michael Jackson. We both love Mr. Jackson. Michael has some of the greatest music of all time. In another video, he clarifies that this was just an unfortunate coincidence that their zombie-like animatronic debuted only a mere month after the pop star's untimely passing and wasn't meant to be distasteful. Let's take a closer look at these two creative cousins. Building robots since he was 12 years old, Thomas Messerschmitt has a deep enthusiasm for robotics and artificial intelligence, as seen in many videos of him in front of the camera, displaying some of his android creations to viewers at home or engaging in public demonstrations at schools and conventions. He's a member of several robotics organizations and teaches private lessons on the subject. Conversely, there's just not that much known about Ringstorff. In fact, the only picture of his face I could find is this one, assuming this really is him. After watching and reading so much about the pair, I couldn't shake a curious thought. What if these two are actually the same person? Maybe Messerschmitt adopted a pen name for his horror author persona. They do resemble one another, but then again, they're relatives. There's little things too, like this odd video on Messerschmitt's channel of a mini Michael Jackson robot dancing to Smooth Criminal, complete with the lyrics, "Are you okay?" This easily could have been a video from Ringstorff's channel. During live streams though, Messerschmitt is very consistent when talking about himself and his cousin Tommy, as he calls him. This theory was certainly interesting to explore, and honestly not 100% disproven either, but my curiosity has subsided seeing as there's just not much to back it up. Whatever the case, the Ayuwoki is an undeniable part of horror and internet history. Whenever I find myself alone in the dark, it seems the same few creepy things always lurk to the front of my imagination. The Ayuwoki has been one of these invasive boogeymen, but it's a fun kind of scared. Like a spooky tale shared at a slumber party, swearing you heard a monster move in your closet, or a ghost story told around a campfire after the moon comes up and you're already 3 s'mores in. The Ayuwoki may be a ghoul, but he's a ghoul that's fun to run away from, only to find yourself later wanting to take another peek. This has been Oddstrosity. Thank you for watching, join me next time, and we'll once again reset what's expected.